Walton Street. Steel workers who are quickly going home to or almost shock.
Oh, I just sit. Could go. And I don't know yet. Just too serious. You just don't know how to swallow it. It's you hear all the rumors coming around, and you still can't believe it. And now they slid and shut it down the court and just so that's it. Look, it's not all you can do. Look and hope that you find something just as bad.
Oops, that's what I did.
Could you pick that up in between these? Yeah, thanks.
I want to be able to see over these mics.
Yep. We need it back in a minute. I'm about to set it on my phone. Okay. No problem. Fine by me. How's that? That's a little lower.
That's better. Testing 1, 2, 3. That's much better.
Okay.
She wanted to be
Did we ever look at I don't remember the name of the book, but it's Bob. Be careful there's a B on you, Bella.
Yeah, we're non-partisan.
There's a B on
I thought that this would be
well, if you're willing to go to Albany, I just believe it. All right, I'll get right to it.
we're all sitting up here. Anybody?
Okay, good.
Line up in the front row here, and
National Public Television, Public Television Director, Special Projects, Ms. Magazine, Deputy City Administrative Special Assistant Mayor, New York, and John.
campaign manager.
1985, when we saw the gender back, we knew that the women focused on the nation. This is a replica of what the women wore when they fought the vote.
All right, Rick's up there completing.
This is a replica. How you doing?
Some pictures.
Sure, why not?
Just introduce myself. My name is Steve Stark. I'm a citizen.
Okay, great.
Local paper. If I can have a word with you either now or when you have a free moment, I'd like to introduce you. Okay.
Hi.
Tonight,
Would you want to, who wants to take, they want to take the hands first.
Okay, sure.
Let the husband. Isn't that nice?
Glad to have you here tonight. Somebody will be.
Hey, you got that great button there.
Like it?
Terrific. You see our new button for Women USA? We're selling them over there.
Where, Bella?
Vote, women, vote. Over there on the table.
Oh, where?
Yo, you buy a t-shirt too, you.
Will it fit me?
Yeah, we have large. I wear large, you wear large.
Okay.
Thank you.
Over at the table, Joe Nixon is there.
okay, I want to ask you a few questions.
Paula, you can sit up here if you want. If you'd like.
I'm delegated
Yeah. How many board members do we have in the center here? They should be up here.
Copy of Geraldine's?
You and Rosemary.
I wasn't able to convince. Dick is talking. Dick is talking with. Let me see who I can find. What's her name?
Are we almost ready to start? How much time do I have to do this? You hold it?
Yeah.
Dick is talking with. I forgot her name from Geneva. There she's with a blue dress, and Dick has a red
I met you, I
shirt.
was mayor of
You
it.
see him right here.
I was down in New York and he gave me a ride uptown. You and your husband one
A
night.
woman with a blue dress and a man with a red shirt and brown pants.
Well, I don't really see them, but I'll find them somewhere.
Okay, they are.
Very well.
And although they were inside for the first time in larger numbers than before, they were totally excluded, not only from the party platform, but from the concerns of women.
Council, one of the strongest.
They denied equal rights amendment.
So we put
They gave the right for women to have a choice. They opposed working women, who are a majority in this country, getting equal pay for the work, comparable value. And they took a very explicit position that maybe in New York we want, and women care very much about survival of this planet. So I think that the Republican convention represented, you know that even the delegates disagreed with the party platform?
well, okay, I hear what you're saying.
There was a majority poll who favor a nuclear free, they oppose a nuclear free. Majority poll favored equal rights, and they oppose equal rights. So I think it was a very ultra-right-wing, autocratic conference that Republicans didn't represent the Republic.
Do you agree that some of the criticism that the Republican Party is getting too far right, the Democratic Party?
Oh no, the Democratic Party has not gone left at all. I do think the Republican Party has gone to the right.
Landslide.
They admit it. They don't deny it. But the Democrats haven't gone left at all.
Motto said he thinks
He's going to win New York. I made a bet with him on television. He was talking in Dallas and I was in New York that Democrats would win. So we've made a bet on that subject publicly on television that we would win. We have to get together and decide what the bet is. Because on public television we didn't say
Where's
what
Pam?
the bet was.
Is Pam with you?
But anyhow, we're on record
Pam Flanagan?
as a great disagreement on that subject.
there was been a lot of talk lately about the entering of religion into the
I think that the Republican convention and President Reagan himself, as many of the editorials have indicated, is really attacking the Constitution.
How are you?
Because the Constitution has as a bedrock provision the separation of church and state. And his
We're going to get underway in about 5 minutes, okay? Just hang in there.
decisions of religion violates the very foundation of this country.
I'll leave you there if you're in custody and control. I'll be right out there.
Do you agree with what some Democratic governors said yesterday about Walter Mondale livening up his campaign?
I think the campaign hasn't really started. It never does till after Labor Day. And I think we have a lively campaign. We have a great presidential candidate and a terrific vice presidential candidate. First time in the history of this country that we have a woman who is going to be on the major national ticket. And I think women all over this country are going to come out and make this election one which the Democrats can't lose.
Right.
Women are going to make the deciding factor.
Maybe.
And if you want to know the details, I have a book called Gender Gap in which I explain more.
Just one last question.
Bella, they want your picture. Step
I just want to ask you one last question.
Absolutely.
Don't say it, because we can't move.
Well,
I got a little theater play.
do you think a lot of people blame the fact that
Yeah, oh, of course. Vice President.
Okay.
But just the beginning. Today we're going to be running Kamala President, Governor, Senator. Just the beginning. Okay. Did you get it? All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Push a button. Women's motorcycle. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All over Massachusetts, New Jersey.
I've been on them. I once had a sister who had one. I used to ride around New York with her. It's so hard in New York because of the cerebral fracture.
Yes.
I thought it was. You know, she had to take me home on the back of her motorcycle, and I did it just because I said I would do everything. I didn't
Try
like
anything
it.
once, right?
I did it more than once, but I didn't like it.
Wish you luck with the matter.
Meet some of the women today. Gotta get Jerry in there. Thank you very much.
Buses over there.
Yeah, I'd like to get
They're
one.
over there. Right there with the shirt, white Joe Nixon.
Thanks a lot.
I know.
Buffalo.
Yes, you move that. Where's the guys from the East Campus? Are you going to be saying? Yeah, she's coming. So Judy goes to speech, and I have something. All right, we need another chair.
What are you talking about here?
They're
talking strategy.
Where are the women? Where is Kim Blacklock? No, she's speaking last. You're all in order. You're such an important person. Here comes Frank. Right back there next to Anne, Frank, okay?
I finished middle school. No, I got one more to go in September. I got one more in September. So far, the company's staying.
Kim?
But the newspaper
Hurry, hurry.
Any two, pick two. And
Right there. One more.
Hi, how are you?
good, and you?
How's everything coming?
No, Jane, right there.
New projects all the way.
That's nice.
Hi! You have to give it to women. We always have great weather for these things. Somebody up there is looking out for us. Welcome to Women's Equality Day. Nice crowd. My name is Lucille Palvero, and I'm going to be your moderator this afternoon. I think today of all days, it really, really feels good to be in Seneca Falls, New York, birthplace of women's rights.
Now, I would imagine that all of you know that the first Women's Rights Convention was held here, correct? It's right over there across the street. So I'm not going to get into that too much. What I am going to get into, which is not so well known, is that the Equal Rights Amendment was introduced in Seneca Falls by Alice Paul in 1923. Although the debate over the concept of an equal rights bill for women raged throughout 1922, the public struggle for ERA began officially on July 21st, 1923 in Seneca Falls, when Alice Paul emphasized that women would not be safe until they had equality under the federal Constitution. The ERA was introduced in Congress in December of 1923. Various forms of the amendment were introduced between 1923 and 1972. In 1943, the ERA was revised to its present wording and finally passed both houses in 1972 and was sent to the states for ratification. Before the March 22, 1979 deadline, 35 of the 38 states required for passage had ratified. And as you know, in 1979, Representative Elizabeth Holtzman introduced a resolution requesting an extension until June 30th, 1982. We all know what happened then. The ERA failed. But the struggle continues, and we have hopes that in the very near future we will have an Equal Rights Amendment. But the amendment we're here today to recognize is the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. This is the anniversary, the 64th anniversary of the suffrage amendment, which also found its historic roots here in Seneca Falls. Elizabeth Cady Stanton introduced the resolution asking for the right to vote, women's suffrage, in 1848 at the first Women's Rights Convention. And it wasn't until 72 years later that it actually passed. Now maybe we've got another 12 years or so to go before the ERA gets passed, because it's been only 64 whatever years. Elizabeth Cady Stanton said, speaking for women's suffrage, quote, "Think you, if women has a vote in this government, that all those laws affecting her interest would not so entirely violate every principle of right and justice? Had women a vote to give, might not the office holders and seekers propose some change in her condition?" Well, she was partly right. Enter again Alice Paul in 1923 with the Women's Party in Seneca Falls, here to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Stanton's resolution. At the first Alice Paul and the Women's Party decided that the vote was not enough, and subsequently publicly introduced an amendment to the Constitution proposing equal rights for women. That's some of the history to be traced here in Seneca Falls. The contemporary women's rights movement reemerged in the 1960s. It also found its way to Seneca Falls. The National Women's Hall of Fame was established here to commemorate women of achievement. The Elizabeth Cady Stanton Foundation was organized in 1978 to promote the history of the women's rights movement, in particular of Elizabeth Cady Stanton. And it also raised money to purchase the Stanton House and donated it to the National Park Service. In 1980, the Women's Rights National Historical Park, under the auspices of the National Park Service, was enacted into law, and the park officially opened in 1982. It is in this context that work began in the fall of '82 to establish a National Women's Center and Educational Institute in Seneca Falls, which you'll be hearing more about from its president. Now that I've given you a brief overview as to why we're all really here today, I'd like to introduce someone who's been extremely supportive to the efforts in Seneca Falls and to make its history known to the public. It takes a sincere commitment on the part of village officials to move things along, especially when we're dealing with both state and federal agencies, and I think we all know about bureaucracy, don't we? The community support for the Women's Rights National Park has been tremendous, and the man who will welcome you to our village has always been among the leaders in giving support to the re-recognition of women's history in Seneca Falls. I give you the Mayor of Seneca Falls, Robert E. Freeland.
Thank you, Lucille. It is my great pleasure today to welcome everyone to Seneca Falls, especially all the people up here and all of you people out there. I'm sorry that I'm not able to welcome Elizabeth Cady Stanton today. I'm sure she would have been very proud to have been here today and to speak today. Thank you.
Just got one comment about Ann Kramer. She's the very first woman to have been elected to the village board in Seneca Falls, and we often refer to her as Landslide Kramer because Landslide Kramer won by 1 vote. Now, if that doesn't tell you something, your vote counts. Believe me, it counts. Another person back here that we should also recognize from our town board is Supervisor Frank Saraceno. Would you please give him a hand? The town board has been, you know, all the agencies locally have been absolutely wonderful about everything in Seneca Falls. And we do appreciate it. The woman I'm about to introduce I've known for a long, long time. We've worked on other boards together, and I hope I don't get too mushy about this, but I can only say that she's really tireless and an energetic feminist who has a vision. And we all know how hard visionaries are to come by these days. She was a former professor of philosophy at the also former Eisenhower College. She not only taught philosophy, I think she herself is a true philosopher. She dreams dreams of unity for women, and that's not so awful, is it? Of a place for women that we can call our own. I have an enormous